Okay, so this is part three of the social services videos that I'm making. But yeah, I was saying in my head that the best kind of social worker are the people that are like spiritualists because they'll be able to work out, they'll be able to pick up on a person and work out what kind of person they are, work out, how masculine or feminine. If they are a very feminine person, then they're probably going to be better at looking after pet kids, and they shouldn't treat them like they're just the father, because if you start seeing them as just the father, then you'll put them in a sort of category that would make them feel like they might not be that maternal or something. And I think with this guy you definitely sense this maternal feeling, and I think if you're a spiritualist you'd be able to recognize that. And if you're a spiritualist and you can recognize like how a person is, then you'd know whether or not to trust them or not, and therefore you wouldn't have to stick to all the rules and regulations. The thing is, when doing this job, you're working around people that are probably, a lot of them might be good parents. You might be working around a lot of family members too that also want to get involved but are getting stressed out over this. And I feel like you're going to end up building up a huge amount of bad karma. The bad karma that you're going to receive, this is how it works. If you start hurting people, if you start stressing people out, if you are causing problems or causing more problems than helping them, you're going to build up a huge amount of bad karma. Now, if you're not a spiritualist, a spiritual person, you won't sense this. And therefore, you're going to work in social services and you're going to keep working in social services, and you're going to be completely blind to the fact that actually you might actually be doing more damage to these families than you are helping them. And I think that is a very serious thing of what is happening to people that are working at the top in social services. They are thinking that they're doing best. They're thinking that they're helping people, but really they're pissing people off. They pissed me off on that Wednesday when they said that I can't be a carer. I can't be a guardian to Sophie, even though I'm perfectly good and I'm very trustworthy. And Marco had met me from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I saw him when I went. I don't know him that well, but I saw him at the Butlins camp for like 2 or 3 days, and I saw him at my granny's for a day last week. I don't really know him that well, so I can understand him not wanting at the beginning, but after two days, he had gotten to know me. He'd gotten the sense of trust, and if social services were spiritual, they would realize that this guy is he's good at working things out, and he's good at making choices, and he's good at these things, and therefore you don't need to start insulting family members by saying that they aren't trustworthy just because you don't know them. You are causing so much bad karma onto people because they're getting hurt, they're getting angry. It's such an angry thing to think that someone's going to take your children away, or just to think that someone you are friends with, or no, I don't know him that well, but if I'd known him for 10 years, I knew that he was a really, really great dad. And then to have social services put all this pressure onto him, and all these calls and all these hassle, just lots and lots of hassle, and thinking that he has to just do what they say, with the threat of the child. To see him go through that is upsetting. It's upsetting for the people around. And so social services, are they actually helping families, or are they actually hurting families? Because if they're hurting people, then this bad karma is going to build up and it's going to start affecting them. Now, I think the people at the bottom who start this and who are spiritual and who are probably more, have a better sense of who people are, they might start thinking this person is trustworthy, and I do trust this person, but they might say, oh no, this other person isn't, and we have to stick with the protocols. The judge ordered this, so you must do this, and they're going to want to leave. They're going to think, they're going to sense this negative energy that they're building up inside of them, and they're going to want to leave. So all the good people that work in social services are going to stay for very long, because they're going to know that they're actually causing more damage than they are helping. They're going to, this focus on protecting the baby. Yes, we're doing everything for the parents, but I feel like it's all a lie. I think all the stuff you're doing for parents is a lie. I mean, okay, in my sister's case, it's she doesn't feel much, but I think when it comes to other people that are good, that are around, just haven't passed your test or whatever, I think you are causing more stress. And the good ones, the good people, are not going to want to stay in social services because they don't like this build up of karma that they are getting from pestering people that don't deserve it. So they're leaving, and the ones that are staying are the ones that have no spiritual connection. And because they have no spiritual connection, they're also dumb. They're dumb. I'm sorry, but the people at the top of social services are dumb. They're dumb as fuck. They just how. Right. So let's get this meeting started. So, well, I think this, and I think that, that was the pre-meeting. There was a pre-meeting that I overheard, and that was just the whole voice, the whole tone, everything about her. I'm very good. I am a spiritualist person, and I can sense people, and just what I was sensing from these people was just nothing. Like they had no ability to realize the karma and the bad karma that they are going to receive. The only people that will be in social services are people that don't realize the amount of problems and anger and frustration and hurt that they're causing people. If they realized how much hurt they're causing people by pestering them as much, and we have to see you every day for 45 minutes, and we're just going to show randomly, we're not going to tell you when we're going to show up. You don't want to go out to the garden, you don't want to go and do a walk because you think they're going to show up, or you think they're going to call. And if you actually cared about your child, to think that you were literally tied to your house and you don't want to, and you have to, I wanted to eat, I wanted to go, the train was cheaper before 4 o'clock, so I wanted to leave by 4 o'clock, and there was this meeting that was on at 2, so I was thinking 2 till 3, we'll cook the food and we'll eat it at 3, and when the meeting's finished. But the meeting actually got sort of stopped halfway through, and then they restarted it, and then it started at 3:30 and it finished at 4, so I missed the cheap train time. But it's just small things like that, but it builds up, and it's causing problems, and it causes problems, and I don't think they realize it. And I think if you didn't realize it, you'll be more tempted to stay in social services. But that doesn't mean that you're not going to be getting this build up of karma on you over all the problems that you're causing. It's like if you sentence an innocent man to prison for 10 years, for 10 years he's going to be sat in a prison cell, furious at the people that judged him wrongly and who have sentenced him to this. He's going to be sitting there angry and building up this bad karma, and this bad karma is going to be affected on the judge that made the wrong decision, and on all the jury who also made the decision. And to them it was just a couple of days where they just gave an opinion that might have not been thought through. And likewise with these social services, this is just a job for them. I'm just visiting, hi, 45-minute visit or 25-minute visit, not staying long. But it's, if we just spent 4 hours waiting for you, thinking that you're going to show up in the morning, and you showed up in the evening, and we were just waiting for you to come so that we can go and do something afterwards, it's not nice. This whole thing is not nice. And I think if social services were run by more spiritual people, it would be better. And it was interesting how Sophie had an injection. She takes antipsychotic injection. She refuses to take the medication because she doesn't believe she needs it. So they've said, well, we'll force you to take this. But the lady that showed up, I didn't know who she was, because she might have been one of these checkup people, social services, but she looked like a spiritualist. I can imagine this woman looking like some sort of crystal person, like, I don't know, she looked like a spiritualist, and I didn't know who she was, but I kind of just like, if that's a social service worker. I let her in, and they were talking, and then she was getting out the injection. So I was like, who are you? And then she said, she was to give the injection. But yeah, it was interesting because I was like, yeah, that's the sort of person. She seemed much nicer, much better that, like, someone like her would have been a good idea for social services. Someone who can build up a character profile of someone, how trustworthy they are, and not just rely on questions, a question sheet, and doing. I don't know what they do. I have not. Social services are completely wrong. For me to build up my trust with social services, I would love them to give me a list. I would love the Illuminati, whoever, the government, when I'm exposed as being the real Christ, the real God, I would love the government to give me a test, a list of 1,000 people that would like to speak like to make a bad report of social services experience, or just not a bad report, just random people. And I want to choose randomly out of this 1,000 group, and I want to go to these people and I want to say, what is your experience of social services? And I want to assess myself. Just give a 10 minute assessment, go there, maybe a 20-minute conversation. I want to build up my own view on what that person is like. I need to see the house as well, because you'll get people like my mum that might seem okay, and then you walk into the house and be like, shit, this looks like a garage. Those people obviously are not right in the head. But if I go to their house and their house looks fine and nice, and yet they say how they've been going through all this, constant aggravation, constant daily meetings, and constant threat. I would just feel, I don't know how many people they bug, they pester like this. But I don't have any trust in social services based on my experiences. Sophie got way too much attention, and they gave her way too much, trial when it was obvious that she would fail. And this guy, they're giving him way too much attention, and implying that he needs all these tests when he doesn't. He doesn't need these tests. A short conversation would prove that he's a very good dad, and doesn't deserve this. And the fact that they are treating them the same just shows how stupid they are. And I think they're doing it because they're just treating everyone as a category, and they're not realizing that some people are very smart and intelligent and can actually do things. They made a comment about how they don't understand how he could multitask it, and do all the things, such as look after his 8-year-old and look after Sophie and have a working from home job. They were saying that doesn't seem possible, but you know what? He's actually really skilled at that. So, I don't think it's impossible for him. I think he's actually quite good at it. But I think it's impossible for the social workers, because I think the people that are trying to pretend that they're more in control of everything, or think that they know better, I think they don't, and they're just being assholes and being up themselves, and just making money off long conversations that don't say anything, don't say any relevant information. I also had a vision of Thomas, who I think Thomas was. So I do think Thomas is Leo, Sophie's 2-year-old son. I think the father died and became the son. But yeah, I had a vision when I was on the walk of a Roman, just a Roman. I think he might have been a soldier, not necessarily a general, but just someone who was working, delivering letters during the war, but helping out in a different way. And I think he worked really hard, and he owned a house. He owned a house, and I think he was very, very proud to own a house, because not many people owned houses. There's a lot of servants and people that just lived in houses, or large families living in rooms. And this guy actually owned a house, and I think he was very proud of it, very happy. And I think he's not happy now, because there's so many houses, and he has one, but it's not special. You're just one person who owns a house, and there's billions of houses, and you're just one person. Whereas back then I felt like he had a sense of pride in achieving something that others haven't. And I felt, he felt more established, and yeah, and then he's come back, and he doesn't feel like he's living his full life. I also strongly feel like he does not want to live in South Africa. I feel like he loves England, and he was, happy to have an English passport, and happy to be English, and not have race play a part on, because he's now half English. He's going to look far more English than he did before. But I think he's happy with this, and Marco is related to him through a marriage. I think it's his sister's married Marco's brother's brother or something. I don't know, some connection through marriage. But he would actually like Leo. I thought he might have not liked Leo, because when Sophie was talking, Sophie was convinced that she'll get the child this summer, and he was like, no, we're talking another year. But in a way, it felt almost like he was happy about that. But now that I've sensed more about it, I feel like I feel like he's not happy about that. I feel like he's not happy that social services are treating him like he's incapable of looking after two kids, just because they would struggle if they were in this position, looking after two kids with only a helper, type of parrot. But yeah, I do think he'd like it, and I have had a vision, but it wasn't of oh, it's interesting because I was telling Marco that I had a vision of him, of Thomas being a Roman, and he was saying, "Are you aware that just as you said that, we had just passed the grave of where Thomas was buried?" And I don't know. I still don't think he really believes that I'm God or Christ, but he definitely found that was weird because I had no idea where we were. We just gone from he was going to pick his son up. He was picking his son up, dropping the kids off at Lucy's, and he said there's a park that I could go to because I was going to go. I wanted to. I was so fuming with this, with what was social services done by saying that I can't be the supervisor just because they didn't know me. I was so furious at that I needed to do a walk, and so But yeah, when we were driving back, I just randomly felt a need to say that, and he found it weird because it was like that's the where he's buried. But anyway, is that a sign that he was a Roman back then? Maybe. But yeah, he um, yeah, I I don't know what else to say about, but he's yeah. I think he was in Spain as well. I don't think he was this house that he was looking at, the house that he was looking after. I feel like it was in Spain. Um, but yeah, but yeah, with that as a background, I feel like I've built up a a better link and a better relationship with him, and I do like him a lot more. It's not like I didn't like him; I didn't really know him, and he got my sister who's a bit mad and can't look after kids. He got her pregnant, so I thought that was a bit stupid. But now that I've sensed, I feel like he did that because he was confident in his ability to look after kids. So it's just annoying how social services aren't. And I think they're getting themselves into deep, bad karma by pestering people like him. So that's the issue that I feel now. I might make another video